Thank you, sir, for your response in the chat box. So, yes, please be seated. Okay, we are just going to start our discussion on the day 2 of this GST comprehensive course. In our day 1 GST comprehensive course, we have covered that what will be the flow of our discussion. Will cover the entire GST law, will cover the case studies, will cover the practical question and answers, and will also cover the practical filing of returns, practical filing of refunds as well. Okay, and also we have started our discussion from why there is requirement of GST, what do you mean by GST, and when government has imposed the GST, that means government wants the data related to the supply. That means government wants the data related to the outward supply. We have given a specific name to sales as an outward supply and to purchase as an inward supply. The tax which is charged on outward supply will be output tax, and the tax which is charged on the input inward supply will be called as input tax. Okay. Today we are going to start our discussion from the further things. Okay, so those who have joined the session for first time on today, okay, so in our last session we have just covered the basics. Okay, and also we have shared the rules about the GST comprehensive course. You just need to have one notebook, one pen, one pencil, and one highlighter with you, so that if you found anything important, you can make or mark note of that. Okay, so today in this session we'll properly start our discussion on the GST law. Okay, so first we are just going to discuss about the constitutional background of GST, but before talking on that constitutional background of GST, we'll discuss something basics about the GST. Okay, then after we'll move to the constitutional background, and one by one we'll link the other series. Okay, so our session will be in an interactive mode. If you have any query, any concern, any doubt in between the session, you can freely ask the same in the chat box. We have chat box. You can put your queries in the chat box. We'll take it immediately and we'll discuss on your queries. Okay. And sir, you all have make one promise with you in our last session, and those who are joining the session first time on today, you also need to make one promise to yourself that you all will join the live session every day 7 to 8 p.m. Monday to Friday. Don't go for the recordings, don't wait for the recordings. We all should hear for the live discussion. Okay, so let's start our discussion. So sir, in our last session we have done a very specific concept. Okay, and sir, one thing I just want to share with you once again, for next 2 to 3 days we'll cover very basic things. Okay, तो ऐसा नहीं सोचना है we know very well this particular type of thing, why you are going to repeat these very basic things, because in this GST comprehensive course we'll start from very basic and we'll cover the very advanced level. Okay, so I just require your support for next 2 to 3 days. Now, sir, in our last session, we have done about the outward supply. And in case of outward supply, your output tax will be charged. Okay. And on your inward supply, input tax will be charged. Now, one question is that sir, you are saying that on outward supply, output tax will be charged, on inward supply, input tax will be charged. How we need to provide the details related to the output tax and input tax, outward supply and inward supply to the government? That is what is the question. Okay, sir, in this session when I am going to start from very basic, I am going to share with you each and every provision with you with logics, so that everything will be there in your brain for a very longer amount of time. That is what is the purpose, to start from very scratch. Okay, now sir, outward supply, output tax, inward supply, input tax, where I have to report this output tax and input tax, how I can submit the data with the government. So government has developed a certain forms, and legally they have given the name to the forms as returns. Okay. Now, sir, we are saying that we are making the outward supply and paying the output tax on the outward supply, and we are buying. That means we are taking the services, we are receiving the goods, which we are selling the same in the domestic market. That means my inward supply. So I have to provide the details related to my outward supply or my inward supply. That means basically, logically, government will come up with two types of returns. And sir, one more important information. When you are watching this specific course, I request each one of you, just think one important concept in your mind, that you are in July 2017 only. You are not at all in 2025. हम ये जो कुछ भी पढ़ रहे हैं, we are just learning in July 2017, so that every basic will be there. Okay, so when we are making the outward supply and we are receiving the inward supply, basically I have to submit with the government two type of information. One is related to outward supply, another is related to inward supply. So there will be two types of return, basically. One return in which will provide the details related to outward supply, another in which will provide the details related to inward supply. Okay. Now, sir, हम बोल रहे हैं we have to provide the details related to these things in the form of returns, but where will upload these data with the government? How government will get the data? So for that purpose, government has developed a specific portal that is called as GSTN Common Portal. That is called as GSTN Common Portal. All these things are there. Okay, that means we have to submit our details related to outward supply, inward supply on the GSTN Common Portal is available in the form of various returns. Now, sir, we'll discuss about the specific thing. That is, sir, whenever government is going to impose anything, any law, any compliance, any provision, at that time the same should come through the constitution of India. Okay, and that is a very important thing, because when we are merely doing the GST practices and filing the return, then only the format is more than sufficient. But if you want to become a pro practitioner, in that case you should know the knowledge from very deep, very basics. Now, sir, we'll talk about the constitutional history of this GST. Okay, so we all know there are total 3 lists are there in our constitution. One is list number 1, list number 2, list number 3. Okay, एक लिस्ट के अंदर सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट हैज पावर टू मेक द लॉज, अनदर लिस्ट हैज स्टेट गवर्नमेंट हैज पावर टू मेक द लॉज, एंड थर्ड लिस्ट हैज पावर्स सेंटर and state, both government has power to make the laws. That means they have mentioned specific things in specific list and they have given the power. Now, sir, we all know, or and in our last session we have already covered. And sir, one more important thing, whenever we are watching the next class, you just need to listen the previous class as well, because now onwards our each and every class is linked with each other. Okay, so we'll take the reference of last class and we'll take it in the next class. Hence I am requesting each one of you, please join the session live only from 7 to 8 p.m. Okay, now, sir, list 3 is providing the power to the central government and state government to make the laws. Okay, now, sir, in our last session we have covered that there may be two type of supply. One will be intra-state supply, another will be inter-state supply. Okay, in case of intra-state supply, supply will be within state, but in case of inter-state supply, supply will be outside the state. Okay, and in case supply will be outside the state, in that case there will be a revenue sharing in between the state and in between the center, because you are making the supply from a state and you are making the supply to a particular state. And sir, when you are making the supply from a state and to a state, then that state is also a part of center. है तो सब इंडिया का ही पार्ट ना. So there will be a revenue sharing between the state government and the center government. So when there will be revenue sharing between state government and central government, then different provisions will be applicable. And in the complete GST law, there will be provisions from the perspective of central and state as well, and central government and state government both has powers to make the laws regarding GST. Okay, many time there may be certain amnesty which has been announced by a specific state, or many times central is going to make a specific provision. That means why they are making the changes, why they are coming with certain provisions, because central and state both has power to make the laws regarding this GST, and for providing that power to introducing this GST into India, they have first made an amendment or insert a specific clause, a specific article, article 246A, and through this article they have inserted this GST law. कई बार हम लोग डिस्कस करते हैं why there is GST, तो हम लोग डिस्कस करते हैं section 9 that is charging section, due to that section GST is here. Sir, before that section government has made certain specific provision in the Constitution of India, and through that changes in the Constitution of India, government has come up with this GST, and government has come up with the article 246A in the Constitution of India, and in this article they have clearly mentioned that in case of GST, central government and state government both has concurrent power, to implement GST, to make the provisions related to GST, to change the things, to amend the things. So this article 246 is very important. Whenever we are going for any type of litigation, any type of critical issue, technical issue, at that time our analysis or our reply should start with reference to article 246A. In that case, the counterparty, the departmental authority ko lagega, yaar, I have only idea about the sections, but this person is talking from the perspective of constitution. That means that this person has a great knowledge of law. So it will create an impact. It will create a presentation. So GST has come through this article number 246A, and central and state government both has power to make the laws. And in this clause, they have clearly mentioned that on the 5 petroleum product, sir, we all know GST is not applicable on 5 petroleum product. Okay, natural gas, motor spirit, aviation tribunal fuel, petrol, diesel, GST is not applicable now. So in this article, they have clearly mentioned that on these 5 petroleum product, government may implement GST on a future date, on the recommendation of GST Council. Now, sir, why government is not implementing the GST on these 5 petroleum product? Have you any idea about this? You may put it in the chat box. Why government is not implementing the GST on these 5 petroleum products now? Because, sir, now government is collecting the revenue on account of these 5 petroleum product at the rate of around 40%. And under GST, the highest slab rate, is only 28%. So now government is collecting a very high amount of revenue through applicability of excise and weight on these type of petroleum products. Hence, government is not coming with the applicability of GST. That is what is the purpose. Okay. And all the amendments, all the changes which we are facing in our day-to-day life, that amendments, that changes is covered in the GST Council meeting. Okay. Ek voting hoti hai, and through that voting, they are going to decide the implementation, and the same is covered in our book as well. Sir, if you have received the books, in that case, you may open the book in front of you. If you have not received the books and you have placed the order, then very soon you will definitely receive the books. Okay. So for today, if you have notebook, you can make note of that. If you receive the books, in that case, you may put it in the books itself. Okay. So bifurcation of powers. List 1, list 2, list 3. List 1 mein parliament has power to make the laws. List 2, state government has power to make the laws, and list 3 both has power to make the laws. Okay. Now, article 246A, which has been inserted on 16th of September 2016. Okay. And I request, if you have received the books, then please open the book. All the 3 books are completely based on practical approach only. Okay, if you will read these books, you will find that someone is giving the deliberation. Okay, so concurrent power to central government, parliament and state government for making the laws regarding GST. Okay, and GST shall be applicable on following things on a future date on the recommendation of GST Council. Now, why GST will not be applicable on 5 petroleum product? Because already they are taxed around 40%, and under GST the highest rate is 28%. Hence, the same is not applicable. There may be one question in your mind that, sir, in filing the return, what is the use of this constitution? Sir, from analytics perspective, from technical perspective, these are very much required. So for next 40 days, I request whatever we are covering in the class, that is completely related to your practical filing, to your practical exposure, to your practical knowledge. Okay, so please be with me for next 40 days. Now, Article 246A, those who have bought the books, so we have already shared the tracking code on your registered mail ID, and we have scheduled it for 9 p.m. So sharp 9 p.m. today you will receive the tracking codes as well on your mail ID. Exclusive power to parliament to make the laws. That means regarding interstate, parliament has power to make the laws. Okay, that means whenever there will be a supply interstate, then the laws is applicable through the parliament. That is called as my IGST Act, article number 246A, subclause number 2. Okay, decision of GST Council. GST Council is going to take the decision regarding any changes with 75% majority. 33.33% will be from union and 66.67% from state government. Okay, so that is what is the constitutional background. Whenever there will be a question on account of constitution, we just need to keep one clause in our mind from the perspective of Constitution of India 246A. Okay, we'll also discuss the article number 14 of the Constitution of India in very near future. Okay, so let's start our discussion again from the basics of GST. But first, I just want to ask with you all, sir, basic concept is okay for everyone? Sir, liquor will discuss in our section number 9. Please wait. That is not mentioned in your Constitution of India. Okay, that GST will not be applicable on liquor. That is mentioned in section number 9 itself. So we'll discuss later on. We'll discuss about the books, how you can get the books. We'll share with you the details at the end of session. Okay, so those who want to buy the books, you can. Sir, now my screen is okay. Also for book, I have increased the screen. Okay, now let's start our discussion on the basics again. And now we'll link a very important concept. And now our today's discussion is going to become the foundation of this GST comprehensive course. Hence, I require your 100% attention on the screen. Okay, sir, we are saying that whenever there will be outward supply, we have to report it in GST records and file the returns. Okay, we have to report it in GST records and file the returns. Now question is that whatever will be my outward supply, I have to report it on the GST. Suppose I have sale a scrap, I have made a supply of scrap, I have to report. I have made a transaction with my wife, I have to report. I have made a transaction with my son, I have to report. No, government is saying, or this GST law is saying, all the activities or transactions which you are doing in your business, all the activities or transactions which you are doing in your business will not liable for GST. All the activities or transactions which you are doing in your daily business, that will not be liable for your GST applicability. First, you have to decide that the activities or transactions fall under the definition of supply or not. Suppose in your business you are dealing in 2 to 3 activities. In that case, the activity which qualify the definition of supply, that only liable for the applicability of GST. So sir, for next 1 or 2 days, we'll only discuss that how a activity or transaction will become supply. Or if a transaction or activity will become supply, then whether GST will be applicable or not, that will be a next question. So first we are just try to identify through the analysis of financial statement that whether this activity or transaction is a supply or not. Whenever your client is coming to your place and asking that I am dealing in this particular type of goods or this particular type of services, whether GST is applicable or not. So first in our brain, we have to calculate that this activity or transaction is a supply or not. Then after we'll decide that GST will be applicable or not. That is what is the next question. And sir, this is the most complicated task and this is the most revenue oriented task as well. Because what happened in current scenario, our client is feeding the data in the accounting software. They are sending the same in our offices. We are feeding in our accounting software or return filing software and uploading the same. We are not asking about the activities or transactions, or many of the professionals have no idea that what type of product in which our client is dealing. They are merely getting the data and filing the returns. But sir, in near future, our role should specifically known for the advisory, for the consultancy. And when I am talking from the perspective of advisory or consultancy, that means you have the analytical knowledge as well. That is what is the importance. Sir, why I am covering these things in this particular course? Because the purpose of this course is not to train you only from the perspective of GST sections. The purpose of this course is to give you a complete idea how you can entertain your client, how you can grow your practices. Okay. So now, जब भी मेरा client मेरे पास आता है, when my client is coming to my office and providing me the details about the activities or transactions or a specific thing in which the client is dealing, I first have to identify that this is supply or not. Whenever my client is coming for the GSTR 9 or 9C, suppose, at that time also first I have to check the financial statement, and through that I have to check whether all the activities or transactions which is mentioned in the financial statement qualify the definition of supply or not. Whenever my client is coming from the perspective of any litigation, at that time also I have to demand the financial statement, and when I am checking the financial statement, I have to check whether all the activities qualify the definition of supply or not. So that the discussion which can be taken by the departmental authority, you can first discuss with your client, so that your client will also happy and think that yes, Mr. CA, Mr. GST practitioner has sufficient idea about the GST law. That is what is the purpose. So now we'll try to identify that how an activity or transaction becomes supply. There may be 1,000 number of transactions in a business, but whether every activity or transaction will become supply or not, that is a big question. So now we'll discuss how activity or transaction become supply. Activity or transaction, all those who are joining late, I request for next 40 days, just join the session sharp at 7 p.m. and I am also going to start the discussion sharp at 7 p.m. Okay, I may conclude by 7:55, but I require everyone should be present at 7 p.m. Okay, don't join the session in between, because it will create certain issues in your brain itself, because आप topic के बीच में आ रहे हो. So if you will join it since beginning, it will be very helpful for you. So try to join the session by 7. If you are traveling, if you are on the way, in that case you can join through your mobile phone. Okay, because we'll cover in a very simplified way. After joining the session, you can make the notes after reaching at your destination. Okay, activity or transaction, how becomes supply? So for that purpose, government given a specific definition. Okay, and definition is supply, and we have a memory technique for memorizing each and every section under GST. At the end of this course, each and every section will be on your fingers. Okay, so memory technique is S for supply or S for section 7. S for supply. So section number 7 is related to supply. Whenever there will be a question on account of supply, whenever there will be a notice on account of supply, we have to first think in our brain that S for supply, S for section 7. That means we have to check the section number 7. Okay. These type of memory techniques I will provide you for whole CGST Act. So S for supply, S for 7, supply. Now, government has given the definition of supply, that supply includes the first thing which you need to take care. Okay, we'll read from book as well the definition. Supply includes, sir, first thing, government has given the definition which starts from supply includes. गवर्नमेंट चाहते तो सप्लाई मींस भी तो कर सकती थी, बट गवर्नमेंट हैज चूज सप्लाई इंक्लूड्स बिकॉज गवर्नमेंट वांट्स अ वाइडर डेफिनेशन. व्हाई वाइडर डेफिनेशन? बिकॉज the complete applicability of GST is completely based on supply only. Because if a transactional activity will not become supply, then no question of GST. So first, to implement GST on a particular transaction or activity, first we have to qualify, or that activity or transaction should qualify the definition supply. So government wants a very wider definition. Supply includes. अगर गवर्नमेंट वहां पर सप्लाई मींस यूज कर लेती, इन दैट केस द स्कोप ऑफ डेफिनेशन become very limited. Those things which are mentioned in the particular definition will only be there, but government has used supply includes. This is a wider definition. If government wants to add anything in future, then government may add. So the definition is supply includes sale, exchange, barter, transfer, lease, rental, disposal, agreed to be disposal. So government has used supply includes. If you made any sale, disposal, agreed to be disposal, exchange, barter, transfer, lease, the same will be treated as supply. Now, sir, there may be one doubt in your mind. Sir, what is the difference between exchange and barter? Because you have used the term exchange and barter. Sir, suppose I have a mobile phone. I have a mobile phone. I am giving this mobile phone to you. I am giving this mobile phone to you and buying one printer from you. And additionally, I am paying 10,000 rupees. So that is called as my exchange. Okay. There is a monetary element is also there. There is money also involved in case of exchange. But in case of barter, I have pen. I am giving you the pen and I am buying from you the pencil. Only goods exchange, that will be called as barter. But if there will be exchange, if there will be a barter, then yes. Gagan sir will discuss. Please wait. Suresh sir, in our book, the page number is 13. Page number 13 we are covering. Supply includes sale, transfer, barter, exchange, license, rental, lease, disposal, or agreed to be disposal. Okay, that means if you are going to dispose of any assets, in that case also GST is applicable. Now, sale, exchange, barter, transfer, lease, rental, disposal, agreed to be disposal. So when you are looking to the activity or transaction, first you have to identify that this particular activity or transaction is a sale, is a exchange, is a barter, is a transfer, is a license, is a rental, is a disposal. अगर आपको वो पता चल गया कि yes, this particular activity or transaction qualify these terms, in such a scenario you have to check that this particular activity or transaction is for a consideration, or second, in the course or furtherance of business. So there are two mandatory elements. Suppose a particular activity or transaction qualify the definition as sale, but there is no consideration. In that case, the same not be treated as supply, no question of GST. Suppose a particular activity or transaction qualify the definition of sale, but this is not in the course or furtherance of business. Suppose I am providing the training classes, okay, and I have taken the GST registration, and in my personal use at my home there is certain scrap newspaper, so I have sale that scrap that cover the definition of sale, but I am not doing it in the course or furtherance of business, so no GST applicable, because the same will not be covered under the definition of supply, because not in the course or furtherance of business. So the first step which we have to follow. Yes, Gagan sir, if it is possible for you, in that case you can put it in the chat box, but first just let me complete the complete discussion on supply. Okay, then after I think your doubt will automatically resolve, and otherwise you can definitely ask. Okay, or if it is possible for you, you can put it in the chat box. So sale, exchange, barter, transfer, lease, rental, disposal, agreed to be disposal for a consideration in the course or furtherance of business, two main elements. So steps for us, first we have to check that this activity or transaction is a sale, exchange, barter, transfer, lease, rental, disposal, agreed to be disposal. Agar ye satisfy ho gaya, then I have to check whether it is for a consideration or in the course or furtherance of business. If any one element is missing, in that case also the same will not be treated as supply. Okay, now when government was drafting this particular definition, at that time government was very careful, madam was very careful, because if they made a single mistake, that mistake will completely affect the complete liability, complete applicability of GST in different scenarios. Hence they have examined multiple situations. Just we'll discuss one by one. मैडम ने बोला, जीएसटी गवर्नमेंट ने बोला that we are imposing a mandatory condition that consideration is required. That consideration is required, and if no consideration, then the same will not qualify the definition of supply. In that case, government found that suppose there may be chances, I am just giving you one example, that suppose I am in Rajasthan, Sachin is at Rajasthan, and Sachin has already taken the GSTN, and Sachin has one branch at Bengaluru. Sachin has one branch at Bengaluru, and at Bengaluru also Sachin has GSTN. Okay, so Sachin has one branch, one office at Rajasthan, another branch is at Bengaluru. Okay, so now Sachin wants to send some goods to Bengaluru. Okay, suppose Sachin is going to make a sales. Sachin is going to make a supply to Bengaluru branch for a goods approx 10 lakh rupees. Okay. Now, Sachin is making that supply to its branch at 10 lakh rupees only. Okay. Goods value is 10 lakh rupees. Now, Sachin has no input tax credit, no ITC in the electronic credit ledger. What do you mean by ITC? That we'll discuss later on. But yes, I know you have idea about the input tax credit when you are purchasing the goods and when you are selling the goods. If there is an excess difference, then the same will be credited to your electronic credit ledger. We'll discuss in a very detailed way about the electronic credit ledger, cash ledger as well. Okay. Now, after completion of section number 7. But first I want to clear the foundation related to supply. So, Sachin के पास यहाँ पर ITC नहीं है. So Sachin thought that if I will book 10 lakh rupees in my books of accounts, I have to pay GST on that, and I have no input tax credit. Okay, but my branch, which is at Bengaluru, there are already excessive input tax credit. So in that case, at my Rajasthan office, I have to pay the GST. And Bangalore के पास already ITC है, there will be again accumulation of input tax credit. So in the definition government has given, if there is a sale, exchange, barter, transfer, lease, rental, disposal, the same will be treated as supply, but consideration is required, and in the course or furtherance of business is required. If any element is missing, in that case not treated as supply. So can I do one thing? I will show that I am not taking any consideration from my branch, because my branch will adjust anywhere. So we'll show it as no consideration. And if no consideration is there, then no applicability of supply and no question of GST. So we are not supposed to pay GST on that 10 lakh rupees and will easily transfer the same. So the same thing found by the GST government. So now in that case, government has mentioned one specific line that whenever you are transferring anything to your branch, in that case, the same will be treated as supply, whether there will be a consideration or no consideration. Whether there will be a consideration or no consideration, the same will be treated as. Yes, Gagan sir will discuss the same. Whether there will be a consideration or no consideration, the same will be treated as supply. So now your question may be that sir, suppose the value of goods is 10 lakh rupees and transferred at free of cost. So no amount is booked in the books of accounts. How government is going to calculate the value? So for that purpose, we have various valuation rules that we'll discuss later on. Okay. Sir, cross charge mechanism has been removed from 1st of April 2025. Just give me 10 days. Okay. Every concept will be clear in your brain. This is my promise to you. अगर नहीं हो तो 11th डे से आप ज्वाइन मत करना. Okay, that is what is the point. So we'll discuss everything. Dipanshu ji, what thing you are not getting the point? The thing which we have covered, which is very much clear, that whenever there will be a sale, exchange, barter, transfer, lease, rent, disposal, agreed to be disposal in the course or furtherance of business for a consideration, then the same will be treated as supply. Okay. Now we have to decide what will be the rate, value. That will be a next step in our next session. And today we'll only discuss that how a activity or transaction becomes supply. So first thing, for a consideration in the course or furtherance of business. Now first point we have covered, that if no consideration is there and if any head office or branch is going to transfer anything to another branch without consideration, in that case also the same will be treated as supply. This is the exception to your section number 7. Okay, so for that purpose we can say same pen but different GSTN. Same pen but different GSTN. Same pen number but different GSTN in such a scenario. Same pen number, that means if I have one office at Jodhpur, Rajasthan, another office is at Gujarat, okay, or Tamil Nadu or Bengaluru, in that case pen number will be same because pen is only one, GSTN different. And if same pen different GSTN and you are transferring the goods, in that case whether there will be a consideration or no consideration, GST will be applicable. This is the first exception to your section number 7. Now, next, सर सपोज एक सिचुएशन है प्रिंसिपल और एजेंट की. सपोज एक सिचुएशन है प्रिंसिपल की एजेंट की. आई एम अ प्रिंसिपल एंड देर इज वन एजेंट. Suppose X is agent, okay, and I am transferring certain goods to my agent, and I am saying one thing, that yeah, I am a principal and I am supplying that goods to my agent. There is one mutual consideration between me and my agent, that yeah, I am not going to pay any consideration and I am not going to take any consideration from you, because if I am going to take the consideration, in that case I have to pay GST on that, and I have no ITC, and you have an excessive balance of input tax credit. So what we'll do, we'll go it for without consideration, so that government nahi bola hai no consideration, no supply. So government has included this specific transaction in the exception list, that if there will be a transaction between the principal and agent without consideration, in that case also the same will be treated as supply. Okay, now sir, आप बोलेंगे what is the use of these things? The purpose is that, sir, the purpose is that, sir, when you are checking the financial statement, when you are checking the ledger, when you are checking the transactions which is mentioned in the books of accounts, and you found any adjustment entries between principal and agent, any adjustment entries between branch, you can directly suggest to your client that, sir, it will become supply, no consideration, then also supply, and you have to pay GST, so that you can make required adjustment right now. Otherwise, in future, suppose after 2 years, after 3 years, departmental authority will come up with the notice. At that time, our client will say that, Mr. Sachin, you have handled all the compliances, you have filed the return, you have filed our income tax audit. Why this type of demand is there? So these type of things are very essential. And sir, one thing I just want to share with you practically, if you want to survive in near future, in that case, you should be technically, analytically, and conceptually strong. Okay. Now, third situation. Sir, suppose I have one business assets. I have one business asset. Suppose I have one plant and machinery, for example. Okay. और उस प्लांट एंड मशीनरी को मैं क्या कर देता हूं, ट्रांसफर कर देता हूं. आई एम जस्ट गोइंग टू ट्रांसफर दैट प्लांट एंड मशीनरी, एंड आई एम सेइंग टू द गवर्नमेंट दैट आई हैव नॉट टेकन अ सिंगल रुपी फॉर दैट प्लांट एंड मशीनरी, नो कंसिडरेशन, नो सप्लाई, नो जीएसटी, और बाकी का एडजस्टमेंट टेबल के नीचे से हो गया. आई हैव टेकन द अमाउंट इन कैश, एडजस्टेड, डन. गवर्नमेंट नो दिस टाइप ऑफ फिलोसॉफी. Hence, government has come up with a specific provision. Whenever there will be a transfer of business assets, the same will become supply, whether for a consideration or for no consideration. Okay. Now, suppose ये तो हो गया transfer. Suppose second thing. Sir, suppose second thing. I am saying that this is a plant and machinery. I am going for dispose of this plant and machinery for free of cost, because if I am going for disposal, then no amount will be there. In that case also, government is saying that will be treated as supply and GST will be applicable if you are going to dispose of that. And they have included the line transfer and disposal of business assets. So sir, consideration is required. Now I am highlighting the point consideration. What do you mean by the consideration? Consideration, that means if I am providing any services, any goods, and for that purpose I am receiving any money, that is called as consideration. Second, if I am providing the services, if I am providing the goods, and for that purpose I am getting any monetary value, like for providing the classes, suppose you have given me mobile phone, that is also a consideration, monetary value. Okay, so consideration may be in the form of money, or maybe in the form of monetary value, or maybe in the form of any benefit. Okay, later on we'll discuss about the donation and the consideration, but for basics you just need to keep one thing in your mind. Consideration means money and monetary things that will be considered as consideration. Okay, in cash or in kind. Now sir, first exception to section number 7, consideration, is branch transfer. Second is principal and agent. Third is business assets disposal or transfer. Now fourth, that is import of services. Import of services in the course or furtherance of business. कई बार क्या होता है, suppose I am a training provider, okay, and for providing the training I require certain consultancy, and I have taken that consultancy from Germany, or I require one software, or I require one solution for my IT, okay, information technology, so I have taken the services from Germany. So in that case, when I have taken the services from Germany, so for the charges being very huge payment I have to make for the services, And we all know if I am going to book it for import, then I have to pay the reverse charge mechanism in India. Okay, in case of import, RCM is applicable. Okay, for sake of knowledge, just keep these things in your mind, that what do you mean by RCM, what do you mean by import. Just write it in your netbook. In coming days, every terminology will be clear, okay, in your brain. So import means when I am going to take the services from outside India, that will be called as import. And in case of import, that person who is providing the services to me, that person is not going to pay tax because that person is outside India. So I have to pay the tax. I will pay the tax and I will claim the input tax credit. Okay. Logically, when I am taking the services from outside India, but obvious, I have to pay a very huge amount, or us huge amount pay, I have to pay the taxation. Now I have make one planning that I will not book any expenditure in my books of accounts. I will book it like I have taken these services free of cost. So no RCM is there because government is saying no consideration. In that case also, government has included this in exception list, that if you are taking any import of service from outside India, from your sister concern, in such a scenario, the same will be treated as supply, whether for a consideration or for no consideration. That means those are the points which are related to the manipulation. Government has already included. You may manipulate in case of your branch transfer, government has included. Principal and agent, government has included. Your business assets transfer or disposal, government has included. And import of service, government has included. Now, sir, one point I want to discuss regarding this business transfer. Government is saying when you are going for the business assets transfer or disposal, whether for a consideration or no consideration, will treat it as supply. But suppose my business, suppose Batuk Consultancy or Batuk Consultancy and Networking Private Limited, this is the establishment. This establishment is going to purchase by Mr. Abhishek. Okay. There is one establishment, that is Batuk. This complete establishment has been bought by Mr. Abhishek. As a going concern, now Abhishek is going to run. And in that case, Batuk Consultancy has not taken a single rupee from Mr. Abhishek. No consideration. That is also a business transfer. So in that case, whether the same will be treated as supply or not. So for that purpose, government said, whenever there will be a business is going to be transferred as a going concern, in that case will not treat it as supply. Because earlier Batuk Consultancy was paying the tax, now Abhishek is going to paying the tax. Government says we require the tax. Whether tax is paid by Mr. Abhishek or whether tax is paid by Mr. Batuk Consultancy, we have no concern about that. So whenever there will be a transfer of business assets or disposal of business assets for a consideration and not for a consideration, the same will be treated as supply. But there is one exception. Whenever there will be a transfer as a going concern without consideration, then not treated as supply. Because earlier Batuk was paying the tax, now Abhishek is going to pay the tax. Second exception to this business assets transfer is, suppose in my business there are 2 to 3 departments. One is packing department, another is manufacturing department, third one is marketing department. I have just transferred the packing department. That means a single individual unit I have transferred. So packing department के case में जो भी revenue हो रही थी, earlier I was paying the tax, now the buyer is going to paying the tax. Independent unit transfer. In that case also, the same will be not treated as supply if not for consideration, because earlier Sachin was paying the tax, now someone else is going to pay the tax, so government is getting the revenue. So whenever there will be a transfer as a going concern, as a single individual unit transfer, or on account of slum sale basis. Sir, what do you mean by slum sale? In my business, there is assets of 50 lakh, there is liability of 25 lakh rupees. I have sold my assets and liabilities both for a lump sum amount, for a lump sum consideration. In that case also, the same will not be treated as supply. These are the 3 exceptions. Just we are going to prepare a summary for this transaction so that everything will be clear in your brain. Supply ki definition we have done. Supply includes sale, exchange, barter, transfer, lease, rental, disposal, agreed to be disposal, and two important elements are there, that is for a consideration and in the course or furtherance of business. If you have book, in that case you can mark these lines, you can highlight these lines, okay, so that whenever you will go through with the book, you can easily get the idea. For a consideration in the course or furtherance of business. Now suppose no consideration is there, in that case we have four exceptions. If no consideration, in that case also the same will be treated as supply. First exception, branch transfer. Second exception, business assets. Third exception, principal and agent. Fourth exception, import of service. Sir, all these four exceptions are clear in your brain logically? Just let me know once. Sir, logically clear hua kya? That is required. If you have any doubt regarding barter and exchange, transfer and sale, in that case the definition is also given in the book. Now these four exceptions, total around 200 participants are there, and we have received comment from 10 to 15 only. That means I am not making my 100% efforts, maybe, okay. So I require in the session itself, I will just ask you 2 to 3 times that concept is okay, and I require the comment from 100% population, okay. So it will give energy to me, and the same will be reflected in the session itself, okay. Now we have done the exceptions. Exception means no consideration, in that case also the same will be treated as supply. So for formalizing this particular exception in a well manner, government has given a specific schedule, schedule number 1, and schedule number 1 is saying that supply without consideration is also treated as supply. Supply without consideration is also treated as supply. And they have given permanent transfer and disposal of business assets, and exception also they have given as a going concern, as a slum sale basis, as an independent part transfer. Supply of goods and services between related person and distinct person, that is same PAN number and different GSTN. Multiple examples has also given in this book. This book has been designed in a very well manner, because every provision and multiple examples are there, which I am covering in the session itself, and with that around 3 to 4 examples with each section is given, so that you can easily understand the scenarios. Supply of goods between principal and agent. The concept of principal and agent, the principal and agent and C&F and commission agent, will discuss in our next session in a very detailed way as well. And the fourth and last, import of services, sir, from a related person. Second point is, sir, branch transfer, same PAN number, different GSTN. Same PAN number, different GSTN. Same PAN number, different GSTN. So in our today's session, we have started our discussion from the constitution background. We have done or learned a very specific article 246A of Constitution of India. In that article we have done that the state government and central government both has the concurrent power to make the laws regarding the GST. Also we have done why GST is not applicable on 5 petroleum product. Now we have also done the decision making power in GST Council. Then after we have done our discussion on the section number 7, supply includes. Why government has used the term includes? Because government wants a wider definition. Sale, exchange, barter, transfer, lease, rental, disposal, agreed to be disposal for a consideration in the course or furtherance of business. Two important elements. One is consideration, another is in the course or furtherance of business. If no consideration is there, in that case, whether the same will be treated as supply or not, basically no. But there are certain exceptions through the schedule number 1 government has given. First exception, branch transfer. Another exception, business assets. Third exception, your principal and agent. And fourth exception, import of service. Sir, these things we have done in our today's session. In our next session, we'll discuss about the concept of C&F agent and commission agent, We'll also discuss about the concept of free samples. We'll also discuss how a particular transaction or activity will become supply, and how a particular supply will become supply of goods and supply of services. And we'll also discuss about the specific situations in which a particular activity or transaction will not be qualified as supply. All these things we will done in our next session. I think you all are getting the points in a very well manner. Okay, so I request whatever will be your feedback for our today's session, day second, because आज से हमने technical discussion start किया है, and I promise you our flow will be same, our concept will be same. We'll discuss each and everything in a very well manner. Gagan sir, I request you, whatever will be your query, can you please post it once again? Okay, sir, this book is not available in physical form, that is PDF form. If you require the book, in that case you can place the order. Okay, the cost of these books is around 3,800 rupees, but we are providing these books to you just at 3,400 rupees, because we are doing it under our CSR activities. Classes are absolutely free. Books costing we are taking, or we are taking a price which is very less than the cost. Okay, so if anyone wants to buy the book, in that case I am sharing the QR code. If you want to place the order, then place the order very soon, by today itself, because it will take time to dispatch the same at your postal address. So this is the QR code. You just need to scan this QR code and make a payment of 3,400 rupees. After making the payment, you have to fill the Google form. Sir, this is not any type of advertisement. Reason being, we are providing the books below cost. Okay, so this is not any type of advertisement. And I request, if it is possible for you, in that case, buy the books. We are providing 3 set of books. One is based on law, another is based on case studies, and third one will be based on your practical question and answers. Okay, those who have already placed the order, they will get it very soon. I have already shared the Google form in the chat box, and I request, after making the payment, please fill the Google form, because without Google form it is impossible for us to get your address, to get your details. After making the payment, you can do it. Or if you want to make the payment through GPay, in that case the amount, you can make the payment of GPay as well. But whatever way you are making the payment, just fill the Google form. This is my request. And sir, why we are providing the physical books? The reason being, why we are providing the physical books, the reason being, उससे learning experience altogether different होगा. And the most important thing, those who are buying the books, this course will become guaranteed for them. If they will not satisfied with the content, you just need to text us once that, sir, I am not satisfied with you. Will not ask a single question from you, will refund your 3,400 rupees, keep the books with you. This type of guarantee we are providing. And the actual price of this course is around 15,000 rupees, but we are providing at just 3,400 rupees. The purpose is to provide the information. Santanam sir, your question related to bus operator, is that possible to will discuss over call, because I just need to know certain more scenarios to provide the response for your query. Okay, those who will be registered participants, they will get the recordings, they will definitely get the recordings. Gagan sir, once again share your query. Sir, Google form I have shared in the chat box itself. And from tomorrow onwards, will not take a single query in between the session. Okay, you just need to put your queries, we'll take it at the end of session. Okay, so that our session will be in a smooth way. Sir, if we are taking the input tax credit regarding the mobile phone that will be used in the course or for business purpose, for personal purpose, as per law, we have to reverse the input tax credit under Rule 42, 43. But no one is doing the same. Okay. But yes, this will be a question of barter. You are providing your old phone and getting the new phone. Yes, definitely the same will be treated as supply. If you are doing it in the capacity of selling the products, but as an individual, if you have taken the GST number and if you are making the sale of your old good and buying the new phone from Amazon or Flipkart, then it will not become as a supply. Sir, further in the course or furtherance of business, that will definitely discuss in our next session. Okay, everything will can't cover in one session. Sir, car sale will discuss. GST will be applicable on margin money. What will be thing? Sir, if you have any future oriented queries, we'll do one thing. You just need to connect with me over WhatsApp. We'll definitely connect and will definitely respond. Okay. But the future oriented queries will not take in the class itself because it will create certain issues. Okay. So if you have any personal queries, you can definitely connect with me or call. Okay. If anyone require the bank account details, in that case, just WhatsApp on this number. They will send you the bank account details. Although this QR code is here, you can make the payment. I request, if you are planning to buy the book, because there is no my personal interest is there. If you are planning to buy the books after 2 days, after 3 days, after 4 days, then just go for this investment right now. This is my promise to you. Record it. This will be the life's best investment from your side. Sir, there are certain activities we have to bifurcate. Prima facie are not applicable, but we have to bifurcate certain things. Sir, if you will make the payment by today itself, we'll dispatch it by tomorrow morning, and it will take, based on your location, it will take, because we are sending it through DTDC, so it will take 4 to 5 to 6 days. If you are from South, if you are from Rajasthan, Maharashtra, then within next 2 to 3 days you will receive. Sir will discuss about this specific concept and this specific scenario as well, doctors and advocate. Yes, sir, relevant rules will cover in this particular session. If you are from north, it will take 3 to 4 days to deliver the books. Maximum 6 days time will be taken. Okay. And those who will bought the books for next 3 to 4 to 5 classes will share the PDF file of certain things. Okay. Those who have already done the registration will share a separate link to join a WhatsApp group. If you will join that WhatsApp group, you will get the recordings on daily basis. And also those who are not buying the books, it doesn't mean that this course is not useful for you. This is for you. You will get everything from this particular course. So I request, if you are not buying the good books, in that case also please join, because our learning experience will be same. Okay. Just books are to help yourself. Recordings will be shared through a link. Okay. That will be available on our YouTube. That will be shared with you. Okay. So thank you once again for joining the session. We'll all meet tomorrow sharp at 7 p.m. And I request once again to each one of you, join the session sharp at 7 p.m. Don't join at 7:10, 7:15, 7:20. We'll start our discussion sharp at 7 p.m. Thank you once again for joining. And also, if it is possible for you, then just share this information with your professional friends. Okay. If you will inform this information with your one friend, in that case, new 100 participants will be there. No purpose to sell the books. Purpose is to expand the knowledge of GST. So please join sharp at 7 p.m. Sir, 8 p.m. it's quite difficult because initially we have introduced it at 7 p.m. Now, if we are going to change, in that case, there may be certain issues. Okay. In our last batch, the timing was 8 to 9 p.m. But that time also certain participants has faced certain issues. So we are conducted it at 7 to 8. Thank you once again. Any query, any concern, you can put it in the chat box. Tomorrow sharp at 7 p.m. we'll start our discussion. Thank you. Recordings will be shared by tomorrow morning.